fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Round 9 of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge races into one of the smallest tracks on this season's schedule. Lime Rock Park, with just 7 corners across 2.4 kilometers of track, it will present a unique challenge for these drivers tonight. With very little passing opportunity and a mix of slow and fast corners to get right, should be another great race in the first ever iRacing season of this series. This is SimSpeed TV bringing you tonight's action. My name is Ryan Jones, again, and alongside me is Brock Kedai. As always, this race is going to be 30 minutes long tonight, a sprint from green to checkered, no pit stops required, and 33 laps ahead of us, with lap times under a minute. It all points to a fast and frantic race, and Brock, we should have an absolute cracker ahead of us.
Good evening, everyone, and g'day, Ryan. It is awesome to be back in the comms box for some TCR racing here tonight at Lime Rock, and I think we will have an awesome race here. Lime Rock, I feel like, is a bit of an underrated circuit. It has a lot of that undulated nature, a lot of hills. The cars get light over the rises. There's a lot of bumps, can mess up the turning, the braking. Like you said, not many overtaking opportunities either, So I think it'll be a really interesting race, and I'm very curious to find out where some of these drivers take their opportunities and where they can get the run to actually get those moves done. I feel like qualifying will be critical here in making sure you can get that position to begin with and then move forward from there.
It is going to be crucial indeed in qualifying for a lot of the drivers. Is actually already complete, of course, being such a short track. They've completed their 2 laps very early on. Matt Morris is only just coming across the line to register his second lap. He didn't register a time on his first one, so any time will move him up the board, and it's a 55.343, moves him up into 12th place. So he will at least start off the back of the field, but it looks like pretty much everyone has decided to head out and do their laps very early on in the session, and that leaves us, Brock, with 3 minutes of nothing happening out on track. Mitchell McLeod is the only driver not to have done a lap time. He's sat in pit lane, potentially just waiting for an opportune moment, or maybe deciding he wants to start from the back of the field. McLeod actually is already done. He did a lap, didn't register. So he's done, and we got 2 minutes to kill, Brock. The weather for today's race, pretty decent track temp, 28 degrees. So a lot of grip out there for these drivers. Won't be struggling too much for tire temp and things like that. Of course, new tire model for these cars. Talk us through how these drivers have to adapt to, because we know it's a front-wheel drive car, which there isn't another one like it on the iRacing service.
That's exactly it. So the track is warm enough to get some heat into those tyres on that siding lap and that warm-up lap. However, the cars and the drivers will be cold to begin with. So they've got to make sure that they take it easy. Particularly, turn 1 is quite a heavy braking zone because you're coming from full speed down to, I think, about 3rd gear through there. And it's a very long 180-degree turn all the way around to take you to the next part of the circuit. So I think you've just got to take it easy. 30 minutes, while it is a sprint race, is still quite a long time to get things done. And the cars are cold, the tyres are cold, and because it's front-wheel drive, you get a lot of understeer push when you try to accelerate out of a corner too early or try and get that grip too early on. So I'll be interested to see how some of these drivers handle it, considering the track temp isn't as high as we've had in previous weeks as well, where it's been up at 40 degrees or something crazy like that, which does help the tyres come up the temp a bit better.
On screen, we have the pole lap from David Goldersina. Let's take you through it. Through some very, well, not creative names at all. This corner, 1 and 2, is called the Big Bend, officially, which is interesting. And have a guess at this one, Brock. It's called the Left-Hander. Have a guess what the next one's called.
I'm going to guess the Right-Hander.
Correct.
Look at me go.
Absolute pro, nailing it already. And Goldersina, a great run through those first 3 corners. Then this tricky uphill corner called the uphill corner. Uh, over that crest, very easy for a car to get sideways coming over that crest, a bit too much power. And then a very high speed finish to the lap, contrasting to the first few corners. Carry as much momentum as you can through the downhill corner and across the line. Get a good run, because that start finish line is quite a long way down the straight. And Gold Racina in the end was a 53.723, 2/10 clear out front. We've finally reached the end of the qualifying time, so let's go through the grid for this one. It is, of course, that man, David Goldaracina, starting on pole position with Alfonso Otelio Milas starting off second. And there's a load of names out here that I'm sure we're both going to struggle with tonight, so I apologise in advance, but Tony Vallejo Caballo off third, McQueen outside road 2, Anton Paraboski in fifth place, Harlow 6, Dobie and Handover in behind them.
Yeah, so next up, we've got Court in 9th, Ruskin in 10th, we've got Mia Ott 11th, Matt Morris in 12th, Patrick Jansen in 13th, Sam Harper is 14th, Chris Barnes in 15th, and Mitchell McLeod at the back there, 16th place, without setting a time. However, we have seen some very impressive form coming from the back of the field and working his way through. We're talking top 5s from dead last in the field. So we'll keep an eye on him throughout the night, because I feel like we're going to see something interesting.
I think this certainly will. We talk about there being low passing opportunities on this track, but being under a minute lap times, they go around on the circuit about 33 times today. So that means that even if there's one opportunity, you get 33 attempts to make a move down into turn number 1. And a good exit through the downhill, through that final corner, will give you the run you need for that. Just having a look at the top 3. They do appear to all be teammates, Brock. So that would potentially explain their pace out front and could lead to some interesting team tactics through the first stages of this race to try and break away from the pack behind of McQueen, Paraboski, Harlow and co.
Yeah, if those guys are all teammates, that is going to benefit them greatly, like you said, in terms of breaking away, as well as the fact that they have the best pace of the whole field. So they may be able to, using a NASCAR term here, make a breakaway pack and sort of break themselves away from the rest of the field, which is positive, because that means they can focus on their own race instead of focusing on the guys behind them and work together. And in the end, whoever has the most pace will hopefully win out. But in the beginnings of this race, getting tyres up the temp, you just got to be careful. This new tyre model is very hard to race on from lap 1, which is much like it is in the real world with any racing series on cold tyres. You just can't go full bore into a race on lap 1 and expect to be able to keep the grip up. And that's what I love so much about this tyre model, is it brings that another element of realism into our esport that we have here on iRacing.
It certainly does, and I can't wait for it to be brought over the course of the next few months on to the rest of the cars on the service. It does make for some fantastic racing, some incredible action, and some moments that you sometimes don't often see with pit stops. We do get races with pit stops and strategy where drivers come out of the pits and struggle to warm up those tyres. You can see them weaving their way down to the back straight, another creatively named piece of racetrack on this circuit, and now they will start to form themselves up, get ready to roll down and across the start-finish line. Expect those top 3 to jump away pretty much in unison. If they're working together there, should give them an advantage to go single file through the first 2 and break away. Pace car now will come down onto the main straight, dive that car down onto pit lane of the field. It'll be in the hands of Goldaracina. Mulas to his outside and Caballo in behind them. McQueen tried to jump the start or judge the start, didn't quite get it. Checked up the guys behind him on the outside line, and Harlow is going to get down to his inside as they make their way down into turn 1 for the first time today. Harlow straight through a McQueen, giving Mulas a push, and Caballo a push through that first corner, 2 by 2 through the field behind them. But a clean start for most of the field. As I say that, I see 2 cars spinning off at the back of the field. That was Patrick Hansen and Sam Harper, so they've both gone off and into the grass, but they don't look to have got any damage on that car, so they'll carry on their way. And look at this, side by side into turn 5.
Yeah, so through here is better off being a single line corner, which it looks like everybody has managed to get into that single line. And we're already getting a little bit of that breakaway pack in that top three between all those teammates at the moment. So they will continue to fight hard here. Susan Harlow was looking somewhat stronger there in the beginning of this race, but now McQueen is actually getting on him. Susan Harlow has gone off the circuit at the last turn there. Another two drivers off in the background there. Harlow's going to try to defend hard here behind. Will he be able to keep Handover behind him? We'll see. He has for now, but McQueen, well done there getting the move. But these cars, they are moving around so much at the moment as we come through to begin lap 2 at the moment. But these guys, they're playing for keeps at the moment and really struggling with this cooler car. And in the background there, we've got Anton Pereborski off the track and a little bit of contact there with the number 16 of Chris Barnes, unfortunately, who shot Anton off the track again.
From bad to worse for Pereborski there, you can see he got turned by, I believe that was Handover. Oh, Matt Morris, sorry. And then when rejoining the circuit right in front of Chris Barnes, and he got turned around once again. So, bad couple of corners for him. That breakaway pack all by themselves so far. Then this battle for 4th place with McQueen, Harlow, and Daniel Handover, 4th, 5th, 6th. And then Morris now up into 7th as a result of that spin for Pereborski. Sam Doby is the man just on the very back of this pack. And all separated by just under a second and a half. Is off the track. One of the top 3, that's Mulas, and he rejoins alongside Matt Morris, and he's going to be on the inside for the left-hander. Behind them, he spins the number 11, Doby, almost spun by himself, and now Mulas still running into trouble. Very sideways through the right-hander. Now he's going to lose out to Doby, and Mia Ott wants a piece of this too. Thinks better of going side by side through the uphill. Tucks in behind. But a lot of drivers right now struggling for some grip, struggling to get tie temp in the cars. Mitchell McLeod has come up into what should be 10th place. And he's found to get ground off the start and is looking to make his way forward already.
Yeah, and Mullars has just run wide again at the last turn there, leaving him a little bit susceptible to Mia Ott behind, who looks to have a little bit of pace in that car at the moment. She's doing really, really well. And we're just watching now. Won't be able to get the move done there. And Sam Doby is off in the foreground, a shot there as well. And he will now go side by side with Mia Ott. Mulas will get in front of him. Oh, contact
no.
there. Doby's almost had a spin.
What a
They're
save.
side by side still. Oh my goodness gracious me. They are playing for keeps here for tonight and bumping and grinding their way through to try and get the best position they can. We have got a big old train coming through as we come right up the hill here. This is where the cars get very light. Mulas leads this train at the moment. Doby wants to get that position back. Won't be able to get it done here at the moment, but this is creating a great little battle pack for us here.
They were bumper to bumper coming through that right-hander, about 5 or 6 cars all stacked up in a line. They sorted themselves out for now, coming down the main straight, and it will be Mulas who comes across the line at the head of this battle pack in 8th place, 7th place, leading Doby and Mia Ott. And Mitchell McLeod will be loving this. Should be a good opportunity for him to try and pick up a few more spots as well. And Mulas just struggling a little bit at the moment to regain some of the pace he might have had out front. And that is the move further back as well. Look at this trainer car snaking the way around this track out front. The gap is half a second from David Goldaracina to Tony Cabello, sorry, making their way downhill and onto the straight. He's in the range here to get a bit of a tow down the main straight. Of course, not particularly long straight, so not too much of an advantage, but just enough for him to remain there or thereabouts to capitalise on a potential mistake from Goldaracina at any point if it does come.
Yeah, these guys look to be working together at the moment, just taking it easy as it comes. You know, we're only 5 minutes into this half-an-hour race. Amazingly, we're already 5 minutes in. But these guys, I reckon they're just playing it cool at the moment, seeing how we go. Mulas, unfortunately, has fallen back, so now he's out of that teammate pack. But they obviously have the number on the pack at the moment in terms of pace, and they're just using that to their advantage. That gap isn't really growing. It isn't really shrinking too much. It's just staying the same, which is exactly what they need. So they will keep pushing out front there. Back in the pack, though, we've got Matt Morris behind him, has Mulas closing in, and Doby and Ott not too far behind. So Mulas is beginning his charge back through the pack after that early mistake. We'll see how he goes out of the final turn here and whether he can get the run down into turn 1 and whether we see an absolute dive bomb. Turn 1 is helpful for that with the heavy braking zone. He's not going to do it. Smart play was probably a little bit too far back, but he's really got to make some moves to make up for how many positions he's lost, which at the moment is at 5 positions lost.
And it's not just the positions, it's the time as well. 7 seconds behind the lead of the race. So you would imagine without major drama out front, he won't be able to contend for that win. So it's all about mitigating the amount of damage he's done to himself with that mistake. Try to somehow claw back a podium position. Scott McQueen is still into that final podium spot. Just in front of Harlow, who's slowly closing the gap to McQueen. So that could be an interesting battle to watch in a few laps' time as we see them dive down to the hill. And out front, the battle continues as well at 2.5 tenths per second across the line. And I see a couple cars struggle as well, Brock, just over the top of that crest on the uphill. As it's a car off in the background at the very back of the shot. Mitchell McLeod, I think, has found himself in a spot of bother coming out of the final corner, and Chris Barnes trying to go round the outside of him is not going to work. That corner just too long, and a bit of camber on that corner too, I do believe.
Yeah, that's it. And on the topic of drivers struggling, I think everywhere, I'm seeing cars kicking the rear ends out. I'm seeing cars getting loose. They're not warmed up yet, even after, we're on lap 8 of this race, and we're still seeing a bit of slipping and sliding from these drivers. They're just not comfortable at the moment. Now, these TCR cars are quite stiff, so when they hit the bumps, they don't like them, which could contribute to that just a little bit. In front of Mitch McLeod as well, we've got Alex Cortez going a bit wide. So all of these drivers, they're really trying to maximise the potential of their cars to the extent that they're extending track limits to try and make the most of it. And we're looking here, Court might try and make a move. He looked out, but didn't quite get it done. McLeod is looking very pacey behind him, but no space to make the moves.
And this battle for 5th place has closed up dramatically too. Covered by about a second is Handover, Morris, Mulas, and Doby. They're making their way through the uphill now, and the cars will struggle over here. And Handover fighting the back of the car as the car tries to take off over that crest, and then trying to land with the foot planted firmly on the floor. Kicks a lot of torque through those front tyres. Makes it a little bit difficult sometimes. And when you get high-powered cars, like maybe GT machinery going through there, it's an absolute handful. Thankfully, these cars, not quite as powerful as those, but still very difficult, as Doby had to be able to slide into the big bend there. And it seems like it's a waiting game right now, because Mulas and Morris looks like they've got the pace over Handover, but there's so little opportunity here. All Handover has to do is just get off that final corner well, unless Morris wants to think about a move here into turn 5. Does he want to risk it? He doesn't. Almost put himself into the grass, switching back into the wake of Handover, and that was almost an incident. Good job to wrestle that car through the corner, and now he needs to try and punch off this final corner with supremacy.
You'd be brave to try and put a move into that uphill right-hander like that. That would be absolutely nuts
Mulas.
if you could get that done. Mulas here will try and fire it down the right-hand side into turn 1. Let's see if he gets it done. Oh, that was very, very close, and maybe even a little bit of contact. They're still side by side as they come round the big bend here. Still side by side, rubbing paddles here, and the number 10 car of Matt Morris will keep it in front at the moment. Very good racing there. We know Matt Morris is a hard racer, and he's certainly not making it easy for Mulas to fight his way back through the pack at the moment. And I would expect nothing less at the moment here. So Matt Morris keeping Mulas honest and still building up this battle pack behind them here. As in front, Handover is pulling away just a little bit. I'll be interested to see how Mulas approaches this final turn, whether he can get that run. But now he's got Doby behind him to worry about as well. Looks like Mulas has actually gotten a fairly good run off that corner there. He will be wanting to get past Morris, but I just don't think he'll have the pace here to get it done, and I don't think he will, so he's going to have to stay in there another lap. How frustrating must that be for him?
That is one of the biggest factors with a track like this. Quite a narrow track, a lot of winding corners. You don't get huge straights to gather runs and stuff. It is very hard to overtake, and it's why qualifying is so crucial on Lime Rock Park as Morris again thinks about a move into 5, again thinks better of it. Scott McQueen punched out the fastest lap of the race a few laps ago, then Harlow went and bettered it as well. So those two trading blows, trying to close in on the lead. They're about 2 seconds behind it. Look at this now. Mulas looks to the inside for the downhill. Doesn't get the car far enough along the inside and has now compromised himself because Dobie has a run on him. And which way does he want to go? He's going to go to the outside of the big bend. Don't think that's going to work. And Mulas outbrakes him into turn 1, and Miarot closes up onto the back of this battle, so it's now a 5-car train for the final top 5 spot as Handover almost cops a whack to the left rear for Matt Morris, who's putting all sorts of pressure on him but can't find a way by. He looks to be really strong through that right-hander there, but you simply cannot make an overtake into this corner unless you are playing a big risk game.
That's it, and you've really got to have that run from very early on down that little back straight there if you want to make the run into the corner. It just won't happen. So, it's better to bide your time, get the run, and Matt Morris has gotten a very good run here. He's got to go side by side through the final turn there, push the number 9 car of Daniel Handover out wide. Howdy doody, that move is now done. Mulas is going to look to get on this. Dobie as well. Oh, this is going to be a very bad lap for Handover. He's going to lose 3 positions by the looks of it. They're still side by side in the background. They're Dobie and Handover fighting over that 7th position at the moment, and Dobie will get it. Mia Ott is now in this at the moment, looking like she's going to try and take it. Won't be able to get it done around the outside of the left-hander. Can she do anything at the right-hander? No opportunity to overtake there, but a very, very bad turn of events there for Daniel Handover.
Yeah, indeed. 3 spots gone in the blink of an eye for that driver. As Scott McQueen and Harlow have both closed in quite a bit on Caballo, who I think has made a mistake somewhere out there on the track, on this lap even, because he's fallen away off the back of our race leader, Golda Racino, and last time by was a 54-1 for that second place man compared to a 53-5 for Scott McQueen in behind him. So that was a knee fastest lap of the race as well from McQueen. So he's absolutely flying out there. Can he challenge for the lead of the race? There is still half the race distance left to go, and he's only 2 seconds off, so definitely not out of the realms of possibility for McQueen, as Matt Morris is now coming under pressure as well from Mulas further back. There's the gap between the top 4 on the screen. Then it's a little ways back to this battle for 5th. 9 seconds off the lead of the race, losing a lot of time with all this battling. Mulas pulled in a bit there through the uphill. That car's handling much better through that piece of track. Just washed a bit wide through the penultimate corner. Maybe trying to set himself up for this corner, but he's not got the greatest run. We've not seen him get a particularly good run out of that corner quite yet. He's lost out a number of times, and Dobie again, this time was quicker than him coming down the main straight. So particularly the one piece of track where you don't want to be weak might be where Mulas is finding his biggest weakness right now.
That's it. This just preaches the point that Lime Rock is a very hard overtaking circuit. Mulas qualified so well, 2nd in the field, and now he can't make it past out of his 6th position in the 5th to keep fighting through this field. Matt Morris is positioning his car beautifully to make sure that any places that Mulas would think about it, he can't. And like you said, Ryan, the one place that Mulas needs to be strong, Matt Morris is stronger and making his car faster, creating that gap. So Mulas, if he was to put a move down the inside, would probably ruin both of their races, so it's just not worth it. So you're coming through the last corner here. Morris has gotten a beautiful run there. Mulas is fairly close, but because of the short nature of this front straight, he won't be able to get close enough to put a move down the inside, I don't think. And again, he'll be close coming into turn 1 and the big bend here, but he can't do anything with it, and that is the frustration that is the overtaking opportunities here at Lime Rock Park. And he's trying to force Matt Morris into a mistake, but we've seen before, Matt Morris is a pretty good driver, and he's got a good smart head on him that'll make logical decisions. And right now he's driving absolutely beautifully to maintain that 5th position.
Further back, there's been some action and incident further back in the field. This was Chris Barnes on the modem simulation replay. This is into the big bend. He's in the middle of 2 cars. And it looks like he's just overcommitted a bit to the corner, got a little bit sideways, and as he was trying to gather it up, Paraboski just helped him around. Nothing he could really do about that. You can see this from the onboard of Paraboski's car. closing up under the brakes, and then you can see Barnes' car starts to lose the rear end, and Pereboski, nothing he could do other than check up as much as he could and hit him as little as he could in the end. It was still enough to turn that car around, so he loses a bunch of time. He's now circulating around in 14th place, 16th place, and over 24 seconds off the lead of this race as this battle continues to resume. Not much actual passing happening in this battle, which is now just 3 cars, Dobie, Mulas, and Morris. So the pace has picked up and they've dropped Handover and Mia Ott. But they're running so close together, there's a lot of tension because if anyone slips up, they will lose a position very quickly.
Yeah, well, that's it. We saw earlier in this race they were sliding off the track and looking very uncomfortable. Now the cars are looking very settled, but as we come into the back sort of third of this race, we've only got a few more laps before we hit that point. Will the cars start to become a little uncomfortable to drive from a tyre wear perspective? We don't know how hard some of these guys are pushing to get to where they are in this race. Matt Morris could burn out his tyres, and then all of a sudden he's got a car that's struggling to handle. That'll be very interesting to see. Another feature of that V7 tyre model is the wear and the way the heat. Oh, Mulas is up the inside here at the right-hander. This is going to be interesting. That was a very sneaky move there to get up the inside. So now they're going to go side by side. Mulas, surely preferred line, and he'll get it there. So Morris made a very slight mistake.
Oh, he covers.
Mulas gets a bad run. Dobie. Oh, they're side by side, Dobie and Morris. Morris going to throw it down the inside there, keep the position. Wow, it all went off there, didn't it, Ryan? But now Mulas is free to start hunting down that top 4, even though he's got 7 seconds to make up.
More than 7 seconds. It's out to 9 seconds. And when they cross the line, probably even more than that. With that little battle they just had, it is 10 seconds to the lead of the race. Let's get a replay up of how that move unfolded for Mulas, because it was an exceptional move in to the right-hander.
Yeah, that's it. So the motor simulation replay, he did a great job to get it down the inside there. Morris, it was a little lock-up by the looks of it, and then that was all Mulas needed. He turned that car in, great handling, very pointy there to get it down the inside. So watch now, back from the left-hander as we were discussing earlier. So left-hander here, right up behind him. Matt Morris gets on the dirt a little bit there. That's all Mulas needed, just that. It wasn't even a car width to begin with, and he just threw his nose in there and got the move done. That was top-notch stuff there from Alfonso Mulas.
Fantastic awareness, too, from Matt Morris not to turn that car down to the apex and cause an incident. While all that's been going on, this battle between the top 4 cars has closed in. It's come back to 0.6 of a second. Golda Racina to Caballo. It was even 2 car lengths through this very corner a lap ago. And Caballo ran a bit wide and cost himself some of the time he'd made up. But McQueen is slowly closing in on these guys. He's got down to 1.5 seconds. He was over 2 seconds back. Jackson Harlow is not at quite the same rate, but he is also closing along with McQueen. So with 11 minutes to go, we could see a 4-car scrap for the lead, similar to what we've been seeing for 5th place for the final lap of the race. But Golda is seen at the moment. He's not making mistakes. He's just doing what he needs to do, hitting his markers and being consistent enough to not be caught drastically by the guys behind us. This battle further back involves Sam Dobie watching Matt Morris drift off to the exit of the corner and off the side of the paved racetrack and onto the grass and onto the outside of Dobie. Can he hold on like he did a few laps ago? No, he can't. Dobie, a big burst of throttle mid-corner, streaks ahead of Morris and takes away P6 from him. So Morris has lost a couple spots now in the space of about a lap, and he won't be too happy about that because he was doing a pretty good job out there in the top 5.
Yeah, he was. That Mulas move, I think, just unsettled him just a little bit, enough to sort of put off his race game there, and Dobie's taken advantage of that for the couple of laps that was there. As you said earlier, the laps here are very short, so we roll through them very quickly, and a couple of laps is all it takes. So now we have 12 laps to go in this race as Mulas comes across the line to begin the next lap. We're going to watch Susan Harlow here, though. I think this top 4 is realistically the battle pack we need to be watching, because Susan Harlow very close to McQueen, and McQueen and Harlow have been reeling in these top 2 guys of Golda Racina and Cabello up the front. So it'll be very interesting with now what will end up being 11.5 laps to go, whether they can catch them and really challenge for the lead. We saw how hard it is to pass him. Mulas took probably 8-9 laps to get past Morris, and all it took was a mistake from Morris. He didn't even get a chance to actually throw it down the inside, on the main straight or anything like that. So I'm very curious to see how these guys can manage a pass and potentially get up onto that on the top 2 spots of this podium.
And for these two drivers too, of course, this is the Australian time slot for the big strength of field race we have each week for many series. This particular series, the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, and two Australians running 3rd and 4th won't want. One of the drivers is McQueen's run wide, and Harlow's gone through at the big bend, and he's gone through with relative ease into 3rd place. So that was all very anticlimactic there for 3rd. I wonder if McQueen maybe feels like Harlow's got more pace and he thinks it's a better chance for himself if Harlow can drag him along to the top 2, but that's a strange position that I didn't quite expect to happen. I was going to say these two drivers won't want a driver from an international region rocking up and taking a win away in this time slot. So there's a bit of an ego there too, as well. As we watch the replay, I think McQueen, he just outbraked himself and had to carry that brake for a bit longer. As a result, he had to open up the steering so he didn't spin the car out, and in the end, gave the spot up to Harlow without much of a fight. Not much you could do there after that mistake, and that releases Harlow onto the back of Caballo, who's fallen away from Golda Racina.
Yeah, Caballo's actually dropped about 8/10 in the last couple of laps, which is a big gap to drop down considering they've been running almost line astern, like we're talking 3 or 4 tenths apart across the course of this race. Where we're on lap 25 now. They've been almost line astern that whole time. So interesting whether the pace is dropping off. He's playing the defensive game. Who knows? But Susan Harlow is doing quite well here, just to keep it calm, keep collected. And once McQueen ran wide there, that, like you said, it released Susan Harlow onto the back of Caballo, and he's still hunting him down. He's pushing very hard here. We've only got 7.5 minutes or 9 laps left, which is going to absolutely fly by it, as you said earlier. Less than a minute a lap. We're going to be done with this race in no time. So he's got to make his moves now and really put in some hot laps at the moment. Scotty McQueen has actually done the fastest lap on that previous lap, but these guys are lapping within half a tenth of each other at the moment, which is just absolutely ridiculous in terms of the closeness of their pace.
It certainly is, and there's also a great battle for 5th place. Mulas hasn't pulled away from Dobie, and Dobie is right there with him as well on this track, and Morris is only within 1 mistake's distance away from them. So a couple of great battles right now to try and keep an eye on. We'll stay with the one further up the grid though, between Caballo and Harlow. And Caballo, I wonder if Harlow gets by and whether he's got the pace to close down on Golda Racina, because that gap between them has come down about 7 or 8 tenths of a second since the last time I looked, about 4 laps ago, as Golda Racina ran a bit wide coming out of the exit of the final corner. Took a slightly defensive line. Not sure why, because he was so far back. What it's done is it's compromised his approach, run himself wide through the big bend, and now he's got the inside for the left-hander, which he will like. But Harlow broke early, tried to switch back, got into the left rear of Caballo's car, sorry. Did a good job not to turn him around, but the gap wasn't quite there, what he was looking for, the cutback and the crossover. And now he goes for a look at turn 5, no room there. You don't want to be going up the inside there, but he tried it anyway. Trying everything to get by Caballo as quickly as he can, because time is running down on that clock. It will be 5 minutes in just a few seconds time. And with 5 minutes means just a tick over 5 laps to go, as a pretty poor exit from Caballo. Again, he just seems to be struggling with the tyre wear. Maybe he used him up a bit too much, trying to go with Golda Racina earlier in the race, as Harlow again has a good run. But again, he's not quite there. But again, Caballo is a bit wide through the corner, just opening up the door for Harlow to go tap, tap, tap away on the back of that car. But tap, tap, tap as much as you like. He's not finding a way through right now.
These cars might as well be attached bumper to bumper at the moment. Harlow is almost attached to with a magnet. He's so close. What this is letting happen is McQueen is getting up. Oh my goodness. Harlow's just trying to find any way past McQueen now. He's going to have a run on Harlow through here because of the Harlow's compromised line. So he's just trying anything to get up into that second place position and get further up the field. It's amazing. Every corner to him seems to be a passing opportunity at the moment. And he's really trying, but now he's compromised. McQueen is behind him. Whether he'll go for a move or not, I doubt it. They're all sort of equidistant at the moment, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But Harlow, can he make this work as they come through the big bend here? right now, not quite got the pace. Caballo looks pretty weak through the Big Bend. That is his weakest part of the circuit at the moment, which is where Harlow's making time up. But the issue is, once you get past the Big Bend, the overtaking opportunities become a lot harder to make work.
Toby went around the outside of Mulas through the Big Bend, took the inside for the left-hander and got himself up into P5. A fantastic move. You could see it on the Motor Simulation replay. Around the outside of turn 1, not too bad if I do say so myself. And that's Morris onto the back of that battle as well. Up here for third place, that was Harlow's look into turn 5. On live pictures, it's closed up again. And Harlow's closed back up to Mulas, or Caballo, sorry, same livery, so it's confusing me a bit as I keep jumping between them on the track. And Harlow riding that curb in turn 1, using everything he can, but he's not got enough right now. He's going to be getting desperate because the gap to the lead has opened up to 2.5 seconds, and it might already be too late now. The window of opportunity might already be gone. Look at the exit he's got from the right-hander. He's pushing him down the no-name straight and into turn 5. Doesn't think about a move this time by maybe setting himself up for a run into turn 6. He has done so, and he's there into 6, but Caballo sticks to his line and turns across. Judged it very well to get that car across and onto the apex without hitting the front end of Harlow's car, who's now fallen into the clutches of Scotty McQueen. These three covered by about 5. Not even that. Car lengths. Harlow trying to defend, trying to attack. One of the toughest things to do as a race car driver, as a sim driver, trying to push Mulas, Caballo through. And he's still not finding a way. It's Morse code time for Harlow. It's bump and run time for Harlow. Gives him a shot through the left-hander. Had the outside for the right. Tries a crossover. Gets the run on no-name straight. Don't go side-by-side through here, but I think they're going to do it. Harlow on the inside. Gives a hip check to Caballo, who keeps it off the wall, but he loses the spot to Scotty McQueen at the same time, and Caballo loses 2 for the price of 1. McQueen goes through free of charge, and Harlow finally finds that way up into P number 2, but it's too little too late in terms of the race win. He's almost 3 seconds up the road. Have a look at this replay here, Brock.
Yes, look at the modem simulation replay here. We're going to see this move by Harlow, which is brilliantly executed. He just put himself up there, a little bit of Morse code, got it set up. He knew he couldn't get it done around the outside, braked hard, got the crisscross done, and just got his nose in there, which is all he needed with that extra pace that he had going up the inside, had the preferred line, little bit of contact for good measure. Maybe not contact, not too sure on that one, but Caballo did go wide there and unfortunately did lose the other position to Scotty McQueen, but very well executed there by Jackson Susan Harlow. And now we've got Harlow and McQueen second and third. Still quite close with only coming around the 2 laps to go.
It is a very close battle. Further back, there's a fantastic battle for 8th place too. But let's watch this later. Let's watch this 8th place battle because they're making contact and pushing each other. Similar to Harlow and Caballo, it's Mia Ott trying to fend off Daniel Handover, who might be close enough for a look, but Ott's going to go defensive into the downhill corner and runs herself a bit wide off the exit, but a great run and a great turn of speed through there. Gives herself enough of a gap over Handover into turn 1. You can see there the gap from the lead to P2 last time by. Harlow turned a lap exactly the same as Golda Racina out front. McQueen 2 matching their time, so the pace was there, but not enough time left because it is the final lap. There might be one more lap. It's incredibly close on the timing sheets. And our producer Jay Kennedy telling me there's going to be one more lap, so still 10 seconds left on the clock. It's come right down, but Golda Racina is going to get the extra lap in and go 1 lap further. Hopefully these drivers fuel the cars up to go that 1 lap further, because not a lot of the races before today went only 33 laps. I wonder if that may be a factor. McQueen trying to find a way by Harlow. He's trying to burst the speed late in this race. Look at this for 8th place. Handover's got a lot closer to Ott, who goes defensive into turn 1 and runs a bit wide. Handover sees a gap, but it quickly shuts. The natural line of that corner takes the preceding car out wide through the first two corners from the middle, it does open up a deceptively open gap. Is that Dobie out of field? Has he been fooled by the extra lap? He has. Disaster for the man who took 5th place away just a couple laps ago. Look at this for 3rd. Look at this for the lead. Golda Racina's going to come across the line and win round 9, week 9 of the IMSA Michelin Official Pilot Challenge. And 3rd place will go to Scott McQueen. 2nd place to Harlow. And bumper to bumper coming through the final corner. Who will take P? Number 8, handover, gets to the inside. Going to be a drag race to the start-finish line. Mirot trying to hold them off, and she does. And Mitchell McLeod was the man just in behind that in 9th place. And they all moved up one spot thanks to this car of Sam Dobie trying to carry that momentum downhill, but unfortunately just short on fuel and might not make it to the start-finish line.
Yeah, so like you said earlier, Ryan, the fuel ended up catching them out with that extra lap, and Golda Racina, his pace was just excellent this race, and that pace that he had is what caused that to happen. So only one, I think, in the end was caught out by that, but you know, that gave a few guys quite a few positions. Dobie ended up finishing 15th in the end with that fuel, because I think he ran out right before the finish line, essentially. So very unfortunate to see here, but a great race overall from everyone, basically, and Golda Racina just class of the field tonight.
Indeed, one of the cleanest races I've seen while calling this series too, which was fantastic to see. Let's go through the full results for you here from Lime Rock Park. It was Golda Racina in the end by 4.1 seconds from Harlow, and Scott McQueen just missing out on that second step on the podium. The privateer behind the Logitech G Altus eSports driver. Top 5 was rounded out by Caballo and Mulas. Matt Morris for Velocity Motorsport home in 6th, and Mia Rott 7th and 8th ahead of Daniel Handover.
Yes, from Daniel Handover, we've got Mitchell McLeod, who came up 7 positions to be in 9th place from 16th. Ashley Ruskin in 10th. Anton Periborski did quite well to come back to 11th after that early spin. Alex Court in 12th. Patrick Jansen 13th. 14th was Sam Harper. Sam Dobie 15th after that unfortunate fuel issue. And Chris Barnes was 16th after striking quite a few troubles, unfortunately, across his day here at Lime Rock Park.
Indeed, he did. And fancy new overlay graphic up on screen thanks to the ever hard-working Jay Kennedy. Here's a look at what's coming up for SimSpeed TV over the next few days as we conclude this, another thrilling installment of the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, and we look to the next few days. 4 broadcasts on the iRacing Esports Network, 1 from SimSpeed TV, AOSC tomorrow night from Interlagos, Monday night, the iRacing Official Supercar Series from Interlagos. Zandvoort sandwich in the middle there, between Interlagos on the left and Belle Isle on the right. Street circuit racing next week, next Sunday, V8 Scops heads there, and then the iRacing Official Supercar Series back for its 2nd appearance in the next 5 broadcasts on the iRacing Esports Network. So, some pretty good racing coming up for SimSpeed TV. Make sure you tune in to as many of those races as you can, because it will be a sequence of fantastic racing and some great battles and twists and turns that you never quite know what's going to happen. But for tonight, that will be us done. From myself, Ryan Jones, from Brock Caddy alongside me, been a pleasure to commentate with you for the first time, and from Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, on the cameras, on the overlays, doing it all, in the YouTube chat, you name it, Jay's done it. That will do us. Make sure you like and subscribe. Let us know what you thought. Leave a comment. And tune in next time for some more brilliant racing. Thank you, and good night.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken it
guys. I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?